Hi everyone. So, well, let's start with introducing the new member of the StrongFit core team, which is Big Tyler, because we have the other one that we call Little Tyler, because he's only 250. So
I think he's 280.
He's 280 now.
It's pretty big for a little guy.
Sorry, Little Tyler. He's only 280. And so we're bringing Tyler in for a number of reasons. It's mostly because StrongFit is growing. So, for example, we have the implementation week that started, and that's going to lead us into basically unforeseen territory. So let's start with implementation week, so you can explain what it is.
So we've just finished basically our first week here in Vienna with an awesome group of people. Basically, the job for the week was, yes, to show them some practical applications, but also give them some relief in terms of what a win really is, in terms of being a gym owner or a coach or an athlete, even an athlete. So we basically went through some programming and practical application in classes for one-on-ones.
How to make it last 60 minutes. So the idea was that was all the stuff that I don't do, which is all the practical application, making it into a class. And then that kind of opened a new door, because then that's what Tyler actually wants to do. That's what he emailed me about when we first started talking, was to actually follow up with coaches and gym owners, because that's still who
we work with.
That's who we work with, right? I think too much of it is programming, but not application. I mean, and so now that we start to speak with with coaches and owners, we realize that we have to stay in touch with them. Like, we can't just give like a week stuff and then go home and fuck with it for a year. That's not how this works, right?
Well, I think is getting the principles all laid out.
Yeah. And
is so much to learn in one piece.
And you have to.
And then you have to figure out what to do with it. The nice thing with the implementation was now it's like, how do you make that into your business or build it into your culture? Mm-hmm. That's the challenge that you ran into in the beginning. That's the challenge I ran into.
Yeah. I think we all made the same
Everybody's
mistakes.
going to. And making mistakes is all of it.
I mean, it's basically having an open discussion about what's happening. It's not hiding stuff. It's just putting it out on the table, talking about it, and finding solutions. The real stuff
that's happening, because we always talk about the system and not to people. We have to start talking to people because they have their own problem that need solving. And it's great to talk about the system, it has to be done, but at some point you have to talk to people. That's why I like the idea of you going after the implementation week, having like the A team traveling to gyms, so we can go, okay, this is how we're going to take the system and put it into your gym, not a virtual gym that does not exist, into your gym, your people, how we coach your classes with your coaches, how do we deal with your coaches, by the way, because that's always a problem. And so then we need human contact, right? We need socialization directly with people, and that's what Tyler wanted to do, was to go into the gym and say, okay, let's see how you're doing it.
And do it without making them lose their own identity either as a gym.
Their gym.
Still got to be your gym.
Yeah, not our gym, their gym. But they have to be able to apply the thing.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of the journey within StrongFit as well, and especially for me is we figure stuff out as we go. So yes, there's a first implementation week, and we're already thinking about, okay, how to push that further in terms of
make it better. Yeah.
Exactly, how to stay more in touch with human beings, how to actually do that in your gym. So just to make a little bit of a clarification here, because you mentioned the A team, that might lead at some point to a team of StrongFit coaches traveling to gyms. And basically, I mean, not taking over, but I mean, showing.
Not taking over the identity of the gym, just taking over the practical application. And again, like, how do you do this on a practical level? Because I think the biggest thing we face is actually what we talked about with Tyler also, because Tyler has a podcast called Massemonics, and he's going to do a podcast for StrongFit. And so the first thing you mentioned in email is something we never do, is we don't talk about the success stories. Mm-hmm. The reason I never talk about the success stories is because I don't want to brag about myself. I hate doing that. It makes me extremely uncomfortable, so I never do it. But I also realize that's a mistake, because then we don't get to talk about a very important part of it, which is what is success. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up never covering that, and I think that's one of the biggest problems we have. Maybe it's the fitness industry or it's in general, but it's like not explaining what winning is, what winning feels like. Because if we look all the mistakes, it's always about the mistakes, right? Like the people that came, the key was to tell them it's okay to mess up, it's okay to make that mistakes. We all made it, don't worry, that's what's going to happen. And you're going to, by the way, you're going to make the mistakes.
And I think
then you're going to learn.
Part of the reason maybe we've been a little pulled back on sharing the success stories is that because we have tons of human success stories, big ones, people whose lives were here and now they feel here. They're healthier. I mean, there's been wild transformations. The problem is this to this is very misleading because you don't want to sell this. You need to sell this to this and this to this and this to this. And as gym owners, as coaches, that's the piece we always miss is because we think there's this.
Yeah, and everybody's already talking about that.
That's the way you're going to feel like shit until you get to this.
By the way, even when you're here, you still don't feel you made it.
No.
So that's the stuff we need to talk about is how it feels. What's winning? For most people, it's a very misleading idea. Like if you tell them winning, they want 30 more members. All right, 30 more members. What if 15 of them don't share your gym culture? So now you have 15 headaches. 30 more people means usually another coach. All right, how long does it take to create another coach? Do you need more equipment? It's not as simple as 30 people. And that's usually not what they want, by the way. What they want is a better environment.
They all started by obviously wanting to help people. So coach people, make them better. But what if you have to, at some point, have to decide whether you want to help people or you want to make money? In terms of you're making business decisions that lead you into a direction where it's like, okay, I have to hit like 150 members exactly on May 20th, 2019. And then you promote stuff, and then you have those 3-month summer packages, and all of a sudden you're doing stuff just for the sake of money. And don't get me wrong, it's about, of course, it's about making money to make a living so you can run the gym. But I think we have to be very creative in creating a new system that means, all right, maybe add more value to it, like add assessments and one-on-ones, so you can actually make some money without being too worried about having 150 people in your gym.
Because when you set a number like that, the problem that happens too is if you get to, you say, God, I need 30 more members. Well, you get 25. You're more worried about the 5 you don't have than the 25 that you got. Yeah. And you're going to underserve those 25 whether you want to or not because you still only have one target in mind.
But even at 29, you're still a failure because you haven't hit 30.
Exactly.
That's the problem with goal setting like that. Until you hit 30, you're a failure. And then at 30, you still want 20 more. So now you're setting yourself 6 more months of failures until you get to that mystical number that doesn't make you feel any better.
And I think that's why gym owners are stressed all the time. We've been there, I've been there, you've been there.
Okay, but that's, for example, that has to be talked about. The fact that the first 6 months in your gym, you're going to be in a sympathetic state continuously. You're going to be stressed out of your mind. Who thought they were the only ones that in that situation?
I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, and I think everybody out there is the same. They think that they stress out for 6 months and they're on an island. Yeah. That they're the only ones stressing. Everybody else has their shit together because they have the business plan. As no business plan has ever failed on paper, ever. And so everybody else has their shit, but you're stressing out for 6 months because you feel weak or whatever. We all went through it.
And what happens too is then we start looking around.
Yeah.
And you start to measure success based on what you see. You see like, God, this gym keeps buying all this new shit, or like as though that must mean that they're doing well. Maybe not that they're in debt up to their eyeballs
I was about
to
to
get
say
those
50
things.
grand in debt.
You know, like so it is a matter of, I think, setting your goals that are just process based.
Yeah, but I think it's explaining success as much as the failures. That's the problem with Instagram, is with all the athletes, they show you the PRs and they never show you the 10,000 fails before that, or the 5 rep that did not look especially awesome, but that they had to do for fucking 3 weeks before they, like that's what no one is doing. I think as gym owners, we need to explain, okay, first 6 months, you're gonna be, it's like having a new kid, you're gonna be stressed out of your mind and forget sleeping and forget eating and you're not gonna train, and we all went through it. Yeah. But after that, it's like, what does it take to win? So what does that mean, winning? It means usually feeling good about yourself. That's really what winning means.
I think some out there might have the perception of, okay, it's going to be hard first year and then I'm going to win. Yeah. The issue is once you reach your goal of 150 members, you think like you're on the podium and the whole stadium is going to applaud. Yeah. But that's not happening. Yeah. So it's not feeling as a win either. No. So you think, okay, what's the win then? I thought it was 150 members, but it's not, because
and I still feel exactly the same that I felt yesterday. Yeah.
And you mentioned yesterday. What's the difference in between having 149 members and 150? It's $100.
Yeah, there's no confetti flying from the ceiling. There's no music playing.
You feel exactly the same, and now you're like, oh.
Yeah, those people don't all of a sudden then line up and start clapping for you.
So I think the true win lies in, all right, building up a culture that you thrive on, in terms of you walk into the gym and you're just having an awesome time in your own gym. Like you see people training the way you want to see them train. You're having a good relationship with your coaches. I think that's the true win.
I see it as it's like parenting, right? There was that famous English psychologist who said, don't let your kids act in a way that will make you dislike them. And I think that's the smartest thing I've ever heard. I think success for me is you walk into your gym and you don't go, because that's where I think what kills you and burns you out the worst is it's not the big stuff, is you walk in and you go, and you let it slide. You know, it's that coach that doesn't coach the class exactly one because he's there twice a week and he's making $40 a week out of you, and he's not coming to coaches meetings because he's, you know, just a part-time coach, and it's not really part of your culture because you can't spend the time doing it, and so you kind of let him coach that way, even though you don't really like it. But what else are you going to do? You need the guy for the extra 2 sessions. I think that's what kills you. Is you walk in and you go, or the place is not set up exactly the way you want, and you let it slide, right? So you're allowing the gym to be something that you're going to dislike. I think that's the mistake number one.
And that comes from not even one big thing.
Yeah.
That comes from a little concession here, a little there, a little there. Next thing you know, you have a situation that's almost beyond your grasp. That it's so far outside of what you want it to be. When you try to bring it back in, it's so dramatic change.
Yeah, exactly. And now everybody freaks out because it's too big of a change. Right? But we go back to Alpha Zero. I think part of the problem is people expect big wins, not understanding that it's all the small stuff that you do that doesn't really show.
No.
You know, like
it's that measured,
Yeah, it's like coaches meeting that you have twice a week that no one sees. It's the gym that is set up the way you want when you walk in, because then your soul is in the gym and you're going to do a better job, or you will have a better intuition when you walk into your gym for what you should do, and there's a culture in the gym. All those stuff are not on a business plan and you can quantify them. It's just that atmosphere in the gym, and that comes out of little victories one by one and little failures that you learn from. But we're not talking about all the small failures that it takes to get there, and there's so many, right? So who thought that their gym were going to be successful in 2 years?
I thought it was one.
Really one.
Okay, yeah.
I can make it happen in 8.
Yeah.
But what did they all tell you? It's going to take 5 years.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get successful in the gym? 5 years.
Still working on it.
Yeah, it's always the same stuff, but like we're all special and everything because you're never allowed the small mistakes. No one talks about the small mistakes. That's why, like in the podcast, like the success stories, I'm interested in telling those, but from where they started and all the small mistakes that they made. Yeah. Right? And it's people knowing that at the first 5 years in my gym, I struggled so badly that paying the rent by the 5th made me feel like a winner. If I had $100 aside at the end of the month, I was like, oh, it's on.
Nailed it, yeah.
I don't think for the first 3-4 years I paid the rent of the gym and the rent of my apartment on the same dates. Like one was on the 5th, the other one on the 15th. The question was which one were going to be which. They both do on the 1st, by the way. But one was going to be on the 1st, on the 5th, and the other one on the 15th.
Just before it starts costing you more money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was a lot of talking to the owner going like, yeah. You know when you go to your clients and you go, I know I have 3 more, you have 3 more private sessions with me, but how about paying that next set of 10 with friends, right? All right, come on. I'm not the only one.
No, I didn't.
Exactly. But that's the thing is we all don't need. Can we please talk about this? Because, by the way, those are the good stories. Those are the fun stories. That's what makes me value my life now, is remembering when I had $5 for gasoline or for food. And when you have your own kid, it does not make you especially feel good about yourself, by the way.
It gives you perspective. And the thing is, you have to start with that. Because if you're not going to start, and it's going to be this series of little course corrections all the time. And every time you redirect, that's you winning. That's you, something went wrong.
You just learned something,
and now you dialed
you
it
fixed
back
it.
in. And that's a problem you hopefully aren't going to have to address again. That's the win. There should be confetti for things like that, but there's not.
Yeah. But there's not because you're not setting it up to be, because everybody starts with that 150 members, and so it's always the same thing. It's 150, and when I'm successful, I'm going to shoot for 300. That's a very rough life you're getting.
But then we should create that confetti for ourselves.
Yes,
that's about it. It's like what we talk about, redefining what winning is that we need.
Winning feels
what
like.
winning is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Is that we do think that the top here, there's going to be a bunch of applause and there's going to be a party, but you know, when you do adjust something, you can't view that as, and I do it all the time, I view, if I have to change something or correct a thing, it ends up feeling like that's a problem that fell on my lap. Yeah. And now I just have to solve it, and you do it, and that is a win, but this, like, I got fixed finally.
It's your kid making the face when you ask him to do a chore, because he's not on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's how we felt because we never told us what owning a gym is.
Yes.
You thought you were okay. So it sounds funny, but that's basically. I remember when because I was around like since among CrossFit, like actually since 2000, but I actually had an affiliate for 6 months in 2007, I think it was. And back then it was like 100 clients, 100 people in their gym, $200 a month, 20 grand.
20 grand, yeah.
I take 5 grand for the rent. I take 5 grand for coaches. I take 2 grand to pay back my loan. I'm left with $8,000 for me for coaching 2 classes a day.
Awesome.
I'm going to start tomorrow.
Easy.
And we all said that at the time. Everybody said. So they're going to laugh, but I'm sure most people still. That's how it worked back then, man.
Well, you know how it is if you have.
How can you win from there? You're fucked. There's no. You can't win from there. What else are you gonna?
That perception is so rampant because anytime you talk to anytime you talk to somebody, what's the first question about your business? How many members do you have?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that's the only metric with which they make money.
Good. That's a great life. You train all day.
You train all day,
and you just. I mean, you're going like this
money.
every day.
As soon as someone says, "Oh, I have 130 members," they just extrapolate that number in their head, and then they go, "How much can rent be? How much can this?"
Exactly.
Like, geez, you're fucking killing it, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna open one too.
Be like,
Because I can tell people what to do.
Like
I can tell people what to do.
I like to
I
tell
can
people
coach
what to
people.
do.
I can tell them what to do. That's easy,
Yes.
right? And I'm gonna make 10 grand a month and then work 2 hours a day. Ooh, you got a great gig, man.
Yeah, the fact is, with the way the cost of doing business is, there's always going to be less money in it than you think. Probably way less.
You're gonna
money
make less than $2,500 working 60 hours a week for the first 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
And be super passionate about it because otherwise
And you're gonna
nobody
love
will come
every
in.
second of it.
Yeah,
You're gonna hate every second of it, but you're gonna love every second of it. Just you understand that you love it after.
Because if you're not really, really, really still trying for that amount of money, you're gonna get no money. Everything's gonna fall apart too.
Yeah.
So even when the money's not there, you gotta try.
Because
really
you're gonna
fucking
borrow
hard.
more, because you want your salary, you want this, and you'll fail. Because then you're not fucking working at it. Because that's not what success is. We used to go back. So what does it feel like winning? Let's talk about your story a year ago.
Well,
So we're in LA.
Yeah, we're having a talk about my gym being more or less transformed from a classic CrossFit gym into some gym that uses StrongFit principles. And I did a member survey, basically asking, how's the coaching going? You want any changes in the programming? I basically got crushed by...
Okay, explain what you were expecting.
Okay.
Because that's the context of the conversation.
Exactly.
What was the win for you?
My win, I defined my win as from a scale from 1 to 10, I expected a 10.5.
You are Moses coming down
Yep.
Mount Sinai going like, have the word of God, here are the 10 commandments.
I found the holy grail of training.
Exactly.
I'm bringing it to you, so please stand up.
And the holy grail, the 10 commandments is, thou shalt have no barbell, thou shalt use sandbags instead, thou shalt have sleds as well, right?
Yeah.
That's the first 3 commandments. And how did that go?
That was my expectation coming in. So I basically expected applause and 10.5 out of 10. So I got a 8.59 on coaching, which is brilliant. I mean, that's the core business of a gym.
Not at that time. That's not how you felt.
Okay, yeah. In perspective, it felt like the hardest loss of my life. That's how it felt.
By the way, did you lose clients?
Of course I did. Yeah.
You lost what? 20 to 30.
30.
So
yeah.
you're at a moment where you lost 30 clients, and you got an 8.5 instead of a 10.5.
Yeah.
And you felt crushed.
Devastated. Yeah.
Devastated.
When that 30 is going out, I mean, how much does it feel like? Because you don't know that 10 is going to turn to 20, but you feel like there's momentum in that direction.
There was literally a week
For you,
where every single day, like emails dropped in. We're like, I'm out. I was like, when is this gonna stop?
Yeah.
Is it gonna stop?
Yeah. So did you feel? I mean, talk to me about what you felt during that time. I mean, was just
It-
every.
It's not even
single
feeling
thing
like
slipping
losing.
away?
It's like somebody is ripping your heart out because you're obviously doing it for the sake of improvement, that's for the sake of
To
good,
help people, and you felt
to help
them.
people.
Because it would have been a lot easier for you to just do as it was.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. I mean, that's the easy thing to do.
I mean,
Give the people what they want.
having a week in between from transforming the gym, I was the best coach on earth, and a week later, I was like the shittiest coach, literally, on earth.
Yeah.
So I haven't changed my personality in a week. I guess I haven't. So that was tough because literally people said, okay, the program is not working. What I did is I did the right.
When you say the people, you meant the 30 that left.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's going to come into conversation later. Yeah.
So what I basically did is I just had the wrong timing. That's what I did. I used the wrong timeline for change. I obviously wanted to make it too fast, too much of a change in a short period of time. So I think if someone's interested in changing something in your gym, just make sure it's like little by little, step by step.
But that's not the core of what happened. The core of what happened is those 30 people did not belong in your gym in the first place. Because you had suddenly you have a very clear vision for what you wanted, and you went with it. The problem is those 30 people out of 130, so it's not, it's only a certain percentage, did not belong within the idea of the gym that you had anyway.
Not in my philosophy.
So they had to go.
Yeah.
And what did I say back then? I said, some of them will come back because they'll go outside and get hurt. And the one that shouldn't be here in the first place. But in the meantime, you're going to get 30 more that will be people that fit within the culture of your gym and everything. And what happened?
Basically exactly that, of course. And even on top of that, like people that are now coming in, they're actually wanting to do exactly what we do.
Because they belong in your gym.
Yeah. So once you create a philosophy, a culture, like people are seeking you out exactly for what you're doing. So I can talk about stuff that we're doing. I don't have to be like, no, we're not doing this because you get hurt. No, we're not doing this. I can actually step up and talk about my philosophy.
Isn't that the best feeling in the world? Instead of being negative.
That's a win.
But back then, the conversation we had back then was he was telling me I'm losing, and I was telling him, no, you're winning.
Because winning didn't feel like winning.
Winning felt like you were getting your heart ripped out because your expectation was the wrong one. Well, I knew you were winning, it was obvious. And I knew a year later, you would get some of them back, but the new clients you would get were going to be the right ones.
But that was one of my basic learnings.
It didn't feel like it, right?
Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, the result, the numbers were exactly the same for you and for me. But you looked at it from a different perspective, but because the result was still the same.
Because I saw the future, you saw the past.
Yeah.
You were looking in the past to a month before, where I was looking a year ahead.
Yeah.
And I know I was going to be a year ahead.
And I'm totally honest, like I was that close to just quitting.
Yeah.
Not only running a CrossFit gym, but just running a gym.
Yeah, I could tell how stressed out you were, but you are winning. It was so obvious to me that you were winning. But yeah, it's okay, so it takes a year.
So what happened now is people that are coming into classes are just loving what we're doing, and coaches are happier because people are listening, people want to learn, people want to get coached basically.
And more importantly, you're happy.
Yeah, I am.
Because if you're not happy, you can't run a gym. You can't be in here all the time. And if you're not happy, if you don't like it.
As tough as it was a very important step for me to develop from basically a startup founder into a coach, into a head coach, into a gym owner.
It was important for you as a human being.
Yeah. No. I mean, putting the coach aside, it was vital for me to make that experience as a human being. Yeah.
Which we never. That's what kills me with business. Is they all come with those business schools. They all have those plans and everything. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't. It's not that I don't give a shit, but I'm like, that's a toy. That's something you play with. But your gym will not be your business plan, right? It's like we were following the map with Yaya on my phone like this. We were in Prague looking for the Prague City Museum, and it's right over there in front. But the map was going to take us around, and I started to go around, and Yaya is like, but it's right there. And I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. I did it to myself. I followed the map instead of looking where I was going. That's the business plan. It's Google Maps where you go, and then it's right in front of you and you can't see it. By the way, this is where you're going. This isn't where you're going. You're going there, not there. Stop looking at the map. Look around. Look. That's not the point. The business plan is just to help you, but it's a toy. The point is by the way, isn't that what we're doing it through life anyway, is to progress as a human being? Is that not what you do the gym for? Because, okay, we all open gym to help people, right? So it's to what? To become better human beings, or at least help others and everything. So that's what I want to show at Success Story is all the failures that people don't realize are actually successes. You just don't understand at that particular moment, but this is part of the process. We never explain that. It's okay, so I'll talk about Alpha Zero all the time versus Stockfish. Go see the other video. Alpha Zero played 4 million games. Can you imagine the first 100? He got mated in 3 moves against itself. Those were the worst games ever. If you look at those games, you will go, dude, everybody knows those schemes. You're supposed to avoid them. Well, guess what? Alpha Zero had to learn first. Those are stupid mistakes that every beginner makes, and guess what? You have to make them. Yep. You have to be Alpha Zero, not Stockfish. Don't go memorize not to make that mistake. You need to make the mistake yourself. That's the problem with the business plan. You need to make the mistakes yourself. Don't make the big ones that will close your gym.
So maybe we're having a wrong perception of failure. Maybe the failure is a small win, which eventually lead up to to a win that you.
The problem is the small win doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
We are being told that you're supposed to feel a certain way. That's Instagram, the big smile. I see that with the CrossFit Games athlete now, especially the women's side. They're told to be pretty and smiling and always saying your life is great. Your life isn't great. When you train 3 times a day and you wake up at 5 in the morning to go run, your life is not great. It sucks, right? We've been into strongman competition. The last month sucks. You're starting to stress out. Jiu-jitsu competition, couldn't sleep 3 days before. It's not bullshit. You're not enjoying it. You want to win, but you're not enjoying it. The guy at the Olympics is not crying because he's happy. He's crying because he doesn't have to train anymore. That's what makes him happy. But that's what we have to show is all basically what is supposed to feel like. It doesn't feel good.
And those failures are, I mean, like for you, every little hurdle that you came up to, one, you called it ahead of time. So once these things started to unroll, were you like, where did it turn for you? Because you went from feeling like everything was slipping away and you didn't know when the water was going to stop running, basically. When did that start to slow? When did you start to feel like maybe you had control?
It's not even now. I'm not having control in terms of like I have constant wins now.
Yeah.
My biggest point was once I stepped away from seeing it as a business for making money, not shooting for numbers and money and paying the rent, I actually went to the path of succeeding. So, okay, we as business owners, we have to take care of money, obviously, because we want to pay our coaches.
Business, yeah.
We have to make a living. We have to put food on the table for the family. That's a fair point. But once you're in line with your actions and how much money you need, it's going to be such a relief because you're not.
And it's how much money you need, not how much money you want at the moment.
Yeah, because you stop acting like a prostitute. That's what it is.
Yes.
You're selling a service. Yes, that's what you're doing, but it's on you to choose what that service looks like.
So it goes back to defining what gyms are as well. Like this is not a coffee shop; it's a martial arts school.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Most people see it as business.
It's a community there's education involved.
It's a martial arts school. Respect, self-discipline, discipline. All that stuff, it's a martial arts school. Do you want to be the guy who sells black belts or do you want to be the guy who creates them? Mm-hmm. Right? This is not a coffee shop. You don't get to get more people through the door because you sell the same coffee. It doesn't work like that.
Now this kind of looks like a coffee shop.
This one is very fancy, but it's only, that's not where the teaching is.
That's a sideshow.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the second one was basically stepping away from a number of members I want to achieve and basically accepting the fact that, and you actually mentioned it, the size of a tribe. Basically accepting maybe that place, as big as it is, maybe it's meant to have 150 members, but not because of the space, because of the size, because of the group size for human beings to interact like human beings.
And kind of like Coach said about how don't let your gym take a shape with which you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Listen, at 400 members, do you think you would like coming in here every day? 400 people, all the headaches. You wouldn't enjoy it.
Every single gym owner I talk to that has more than 150 says the same thing. It's not a gym anymore. Not what they started with. It's a business. They're coming to the factory.
Yeah.
They're coming to the grind.
So if you find you're going to find a number with which you can stay happy in your daily interaction with your own gym.
I think you're not going to find it. I think it's going to naturally stay.
It'll happen.
Exactly. Unless you're pushing it unnaturally, which means you're investing in marketing and doing like discounts.
There's a book about that. It's called Tribe. That's a conversation I had with Kenny Kane, actually, and he was talking about going dark for his gym at CrossFit LA because he's like, otherwise it gets too big. And he was talking about that book Tribe, the Tribe something is the name, where he was saying like after 150.
That Dunbar's number, I think, was the principle.
So. Yeah. At 150, you lose the tribe. We've seen that in the seminar. Like under 20, the Q&A is very personal, about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. 20 to 30, the Q&A is about an hour. After that, it's 30 minutes of basic questions that are almost boring. And so we always know, based on the number of people at the seminar, how long the Q&A is going to last, because people won't ask certain questions in a group that is too big. Then you have the mentoring program. That's why we keep it at 12, because after that, people stop asking questions. You know who said basically, like instead of getting to 300 members, you should have 2 gyms? Jason Calipa. Way back in the day, like 2008 or 2009, when he was starting to, maybe 2011, whatever, when he was starting to go up, he was like, no, don't make it bigger. Do another one
duplicate
20 minutes away. I think the 150 people is the limit of how far your tribe can be built. I think that's number. After that, you lose the connection. So that means that when you do your business plan, you should not shoot for the 400. You should shoot for 150, and when you do awesome, build another one. That's an entire different idea on how to build a gym.
Yeah.
But that's a martial arts school. Imagine martial arts school with 400 people. Yet you have imagine a jiu-jitsu place with 400 people. You know the teaching is going to be a problem. Because how many coaches can you have? Like 400 million, imagine like 3 classes at the same time, you know what goes.
And maybe for a coach only, who's not a business owner, who maybe doesn't see that whole thing all the time, it really is easy to translate into just a class size.
Yes,
you have a class of 6, 8 people. God, you can really be there. You can have conversations with the people. You can be present. You get days when 20 people show up. You have no connection with probably half of them.
You feel like an instructor. That's what it is.
Yeah. You
might as well going back to aerobics.
Yeah, it's a jazzercise class.
Yeah, you're reading out the numbers and the exercises.
Now you become a class manager.
That's it. And class management seems to be, in a bigger gym, it seems to be that is what they do.
But
it's just managing a people flow. That is
not what we do.
No.
And by the way, I think that number is at 10. I think like we've all, again, it's the same thing in the army. You see with the battalions to this to the that number is at 10. One coach, 10 people. Past that, you know what happens. And it's in every gym, all over the world. It's 10 people, you know what happens.
And on top of that, we always sell the group classes as the ultimate solution. It's a compromise still.
For sure.
It's a great compromise for bringing people
because
together.
It's needed. Sometimes it's needed. When I do the sled, I want to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not pushing that sled a mile by myself yesterday.
Well, even 800 meters you wouldn't. But because I did it by myself, it's a lot harder, I can tell you that. But the point is, like, the sled, we did it 6 of us, it's feasible. You do it 2, it's a lot harder. You do it 1, you're going to quit. So the group class is necessary in certain things. But that's the thing is, at past 10, 6 to 8, 10, whatever, you lose the group. You become a mob, not a group anymore, and it's not the same. And that's not what we do.
And there is balance to be had because the class size is an issue. One-on-one, let's say just from a fundamental standpoint, is the ideal way to get perfect, customizable results for you. But it's probably not the most fun for everybody. Not compared to coming in and laughing and having fun with a group of your friends.
So there's the need for both.
So the compromise in the class, as long as the size doesn't get out of hand, really is a measure of you're just compromising a little bit of efficacy for enjoyment.
And which is part of the equation.
Yeah.
But so now we want structure and business plan. Okay, let's have structure on the numbers. Which means from the beginning, that's not your business plan should not be based on when I get to 300 I get the hockey stick and all that shit. It should be based on my class will never be more than 10 per coach. I will never have more than 150 members. I will never. That's what the business plan should be, because then you go like, okay, then my rent cannot be past that.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be in truth.
This will only produce this much money. So now you know. Then you start to look elsewhere for other ways to make money.
Or you will build a second one.
Yeah.
But that means you're going to have to build a system for your gym where your coaches are in control, which is what you should do in the first place. And now you're a gym owner. But when you try to go from 150 to 300 in the same place, it's a recipe for disaster. You will not like your gym at 300.
You can't serve that many people.
Because realistically, when you have 300 members, you have like, what, 40, 50 classes a week? At least, plus some intros.
How many coaches you don't know? Like, let's be honest. How many owners out there have coaches they don't know? And I'm talking about that guy who's there 2-3 times a week that never does a class meeting. I'm curious, how many owners out there have coaches in their gym that they see once a month, maybe? I bet you there's a number on it. And no, that's not what we do, man. And we're going into something else. You cannot be happy in a gym with the 300 people. It's not true. I've talked to gym owners all over the world. They come to the grind. They all tell me the same thing. I want to go back to coaching. Whatever they all tell me, I want to go back to coaching. Because they're like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm a businessman now. I want to go back to coaching because there's just too many people in one place.
So let's talk about that. So with the implementation week, we went through a lot of things from both perspectives, the owner and the coach perspective. So we went down the owner's path quite a bit just now. Let's pull back to say a lot of the people we work with are coaches who don't own, head coaches or even just regular coaches. How do they start to apply that redefining winning into just coaching? you know, how do you translate that to a client?
Example, he's going to go, but easiest example for me basically is, for example, the standards of movement. All right. The win is someone squatting without hurting their hips. It is not making them break parallel. Like we showed the story of a level 4 coach or whatever that took one of his ladies, older ladies, right, that could not squat below parallel and spent an hour and a half forcing her to do so. Still didn't get it, but after an hour, the next day that lady called Richard and she quit because her hips hurt for 2 weeks. The win is to make her squat at her own range of motion correctly in a way that makes her get better. Okay, so what does better means? It can mean a year to gain that much. I don't care, as long as she's doing better, that's the win. But the win is not standards of movement, like you have to break parallel no matter what. Because then we go back to a dehumanizing way of treating people, where it's about talking about the system instead of talking to people. We have to stop coaching a system, we have to start coaching people. And coaching this stat is just how do you deal with people, not with a system, not with a program. That's my entire conversation with that podcast, where the only thing we ended up talking about is programming. I'm like, but I don't give a shit. It's not about programming, it's about people. How do they deal, did they like the workout? Do they go home in the right state of mind? That's what matters. And I think coaches would burn out a lot less if they had people leaving their gym with a smile on their face, coming, socializing and all that stuff, instead of a workout, you blast them, they leave angry, and then they're never happy, and they're always disappointed. You know what I mean? Like that's a human thing. It's not a programming thing.
And when it comes to the movement standards, I think part of it is when we set an expectation, they now have opportunity to, they can feel as though they've failed.
Yes.
So when I say you need to press straight ahead, you need to get the head through, I need to see your ear holes through the front of your arm.
It's going to take 1 year. So for 1 year, they're going to fail. Now we're going back to that number that you're trying to reach for 1 year, and you fail until you get it. That's what they do. So now they're going to spend a year failing to put their head through. And when they put their head through, what happens? Nothing. There's no confidence.
Yeah.
I think coming back to your question about what is a win for a coach in a class setting, it comes down to, yes, talking about standards, but also about numbers. What we are defining the wins for our clients, basically. If you put on the board, put your 100 max deadlift, your 100 max snatch, etc., people are going to shoot for it because that's what you created. You created the ground for shooting for exact that numbers. What if we get rid of those numbers and place some numbers in there that might lead to more structural work? Which means, okay, can you push the sled with your body weight on it for 100 meters under 15 seconds? So we can still have some measurements on numbers, but we're basing more on our West principles. So we're not hurting people, but we still give them a go.
We're not piling a lot of risk on top of their win. They're searching.
And that's what I didn't do in the beginning. So I just said, get rid of numbers and goals, and we're just carrying a sandbag. That's not true either.
That's not enough.
That's
almost, and that's part of trying to transition things too quickly. It looks like you are not only taking away people's toys with the barbells and stuff, but you're taking away what they've been training towards.
So the win measurement for a coach is, all right, did you sleep better that night? Are you happier? Are you coming back feeling energized and refreshed? Are you having a better time at your job? Can you play with your kids on Sunday when's your rest day? Or are you using your rest day for actually catching up from a shitty week?
Are you able to be present for your family?
That was my Sunday.
Then, did you get a PR on the deadlift?
Yeah.
But I think the problem is like the only measurement for a coach right now is number based on the lifts. I think we have to add, are you happy?
Yeah.
And by the way, some coaches will go like, that's not my job. All right, then that's up to you to decide. But as a martial arts coach, if my people don't learn respect, discipline, and all that stuff, then I think I've failed. So as a coach, if my clients are not, if anytime they go home, they're in a shitty mood from the workout with their family, I've failed. At least that's the way I see coaching.
Because if you get better and feel worse,
that's not getting better.
But
not fair.
That's the issue if your reward becomes your punishment.
Yes.
Because once you've done the workout, you're on the floor, you're super happy because you've achieved something, and there's a legitimate point to it. You high five, you're super happy, you're sweaty, I did awesome today. You wake up the next day, you're like, shit, my shoulder hurts.
Oh, by the way, 2 hours later you crash while you're at home with the wife and the kids or the husband and the kids, and you can't fucking take care of anybody because you crash from the workout. But that is a fail.
But you need to duplicate that awesome feeling in your brain, that hormone that gets released when you finish the workout. So you come back to the gym, although your shoulder hurts, and you have to duplicate. So your reward becomes your punishment. And it's really hard to get out of the loop. Basically, my Sunday, back in the days where I competed, my Sunday was my burnout day. I trained like a badass from Monday to Saturday, and I literally crashed on Sundays because my sympathetic system just crashed. I tried to relax, and I was just literally staring at the wall the whole day. I couldn't play with my kids. I couldn't talk to my wife. And then I went back into the loop on Monday. It felt better coming back on Monday because I got my drug back, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was a true reward for me.
It's not a balanced life anyway. Then it becomes about your training instead of your wife and kid, and that's, you can't win like this. That is not a win. That is, we have to stop pretending that that's.
And I think that there are some people, as far as gym members, who are very attached to that feeling and that cycle.
Yep.
And so when you start trying to build a system that's going to work for you, that's going to start to actually help the majority of the people, there are going to be people who aren't going to do what you say because they want to stick with it. And those are just not going to be your people.
Exactly. Oh, look, if you are willing to hurt your shoulders to get that 10-pound PR on your snatch, great. You're not
here.
And by the way, you're a lawyer and you work 80 hours a week. You come to my gym to train 2 hours a week, twice a week, 1 hour, right? But the only thing you care about is that 10-pound PR on your snatch while hurting your shoulders, and you're okay with it. You don't need a coach. You need a shrink.
But I don't even mind from a human perspective. Like, I don't want to take your goal away, but I'm just not
at the expense of your shoulder.
Yeah.
No, then just don't come do it. Don't come get hurt at my gym then. Like this, I don't think you want a 10-pound PR. I think you want to hurt your shoulder. I'm sorry, but I think that's what this is. At some point, what they want to do is they want to train really hard for 4 weeks, get hurt, and then they don't have to do shit for 3 months. But they go like, I hurt my shoulder. Those are weekend warrior stories.
They go back to being comfortable doing nothing.
But now you have an excuse.
Yep.
You have an excuse because you hurt your shoulder because you're a badass. Being a badass.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to hurt themselves, but they want the excuse of being a badass. So they want to go like, I hurt myself on the couch, I hurt myself snatching. That sounds better. At the end, you're still on the couch. You need a shrink, not a coach.
Yeah. And if you have somebody like that, you got to remember too, it's not our place to
judge.
Tell them what to do to judge. You can't take things away from them. You can just be the lighthouse. You can do the thing. You can make.
And I'm not comparing the two, but I have a jiu-jitsu and the guy comes and say, I want to learn to beat people up on the street. I'm like, dude, you do you, but I'm not going to teach you to go fuck up some kids on the street.
Yeah.
Like, you have your own issues, and I'm not comparing the two, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a moment where you have to choose what your gym, who do you want, forget your gym, who do you want to be as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And then I know exactly what I want to do. And if people want a super structured program design, they should not come to me. Go see guys at OPEX. They lead in the energy system stuff in CrossFit. You want a hypoxic training or a like how much should I do 45 seconds or 56 seconds time rest between my sled sprints? Go ask people that know because I don't know.
It's effective. It's just not what we do.
Go do that. So that's not what I want to do.
And I'm
not interested into that. It's not that I can't do it. I don't want to do it because that's not what I do. I'm not interested in doing that. Yeah, I can read as much as everybody else. I'm just not interested.
Yeah. So now, one step further in implementation. Now you started to, amongst doing certain things with your clients, some went, things started to come back, things started to shape themselves a little bit differently. How did things go with your coaches? And then how do you implement things with your coaches now?
Well, I mean, basically it's the same process, and you always have to look at it in a sense of timeline and perspective. So timeline means, all right, they're gonna take whatever or however or how long is it gonna take. So maybe it's a year for Coach A and maybe it's 2 for Coach B, and that's fine. And some might step up in the process and take more responsibility, and others won't, and that's totally fine. But I think we're always trying to push coaches into positions where they might not feel comfortable. So
not everybody wants to be a gym owner.
But that's totally fine. If you're a great gymnastics coach and you just want to teach gymnastics, that's awesome. Yeah. You know exactly and you know exactly what you don't want to do. That's as important as knowing what to do is knowing what you don't want to do. So in a practical sense, it means working a lot with them on the gym floor. So it means showing them something, offering them something. Is that working for you? Try it out. It's not about I'm convincing you that I'm right. It's just I'll offer you something. You test it on your own. If we come to a different conclusion, all right, that's cool. I'm not going to convince you. My gym is an open house for coaches. Every single person in this city can join my coaches meetings if they want to. Some might stay for a week, some might stay forever. And that's cool. I'll offer something, and if you're cool with that, then get along.
And do you, as far as when you started to educate some of your coaches on the things that you were implementing, did you, you didn't come in and try to unload?
I didn't educate them. I showed them something, and I made them curious. That's how kids learn in school. You show them something, you make them curious, and then they choose their own path.
And you don't start teaching them calculus in kindergarten. No. You just start with a little thing that they're maybe working with now, that they relate to, and you keep moving along.
And what do they want to do? Like, I thought I was a gym owner. I didn't. I wasn't. I never was a gym owner. I rented a space where I could train people. I never created a gym in Torrance. I had a place with equipment in it that I rented to train people. So I've always been a coach. I was never a gym owner. Maybe because I realized that's not what I want to do. Like when in Utrecht, we're opening a place, it's a one-on-one facility because I want to train whatever I want to, and I want to be able to do assessment and train people whenever I want to. But I'm not a gym owner because I don't want to do this. That's not what that's completely fine. I want to fix, I can't do, for example, I can't teach a group class because I'll lose my mind. Halfway through, I'll stop everybody just to fix that one person and make everybody watch me while I do it. Because guess what? That's who I am. Everybody knows me like this. That's what I do.
And that doesn't mean that you're a bad coach. You're very effective.
On one-on-one, I'm really good.
You're very good with that one person.
Yeah, on one-on-one, I'm a really good coach. But on the group classes, I would suck.
Yeah.
I would suck as a group class. I am not designed for group classes.
And I think allowing a coach to find that is important.
It's so important. Like a gym owner, it's the same thing. Yeah. You cannot do the stuff that makes you dislike what you do. Like if you're a gymnastic coach and you love it, don't go teach Olympic weightlifting. You won't like it, and then you'll suck at it. Because if you don't like it, you will suck at it. Yeah.
So it's a lot like parenting, like making sure they come to you and you'll listen to them when they have an issue. It's not about banging their head on the table. This is the way we do it, and we're not going to do it differently. I enforce my coaches to do it differently than I do. Like understanding the principles, but if you're lining up people, if you're talk to them in ABC way, I don't care. Do it your way, so that way your people are going to like you and going to follow you. I think I have a very special way of coaching, which some people like and some don't, which is cool. And Coach A has something else to follow, and that's a very good. That's a very.
It's parenting.
Yeah.
I think
making sure they're not doing deadly mistakes in terms of hurting people.
Like your kids, yeah.
Like your kids, make sure, you have to stretch your knee once when you're a boy and you're jumping off a tree. That has to happen. I just have to make sure it's not a tree that is 100 meters high. Maybe let's start from the chair first.
Yeah. And go fuck yourself up from the chair, yeah.
You also don't want to stifle the play.
But remember that's Finding Nemo. You have a kid, I'm sure you've seen Finding Nemo, when you know, like with the turtle, and he goes, but if you don't let anything happen to him, nothing will ever happen to him. Yeah. Which is true. It's the same thing with coaches. You have to let them be creative and do their own thing. Otherwise, they'll never be coaches. You can't blame your coaches for not being coaches if you don't let them be coaches.
The challenge is that doesn't feel like a win for them at first. That feels like I'm feeling uncomfortable.
And it's scary for the owner. Yeah. It's scary for everybody. The coach is like, what do you mean? You want me to do my thing? But I want to do your thing. And the owner is like, and then the owner thinks, I want you to do my thing, but I need to let you do your thing. So the coach wants to do the owner's thing wants the coach to do their thing. And yet, that's not how it should be. So that's scary as hell.
So you communicate that with your coaches. You set a definition of maybe like, it's okay to try a thing. If it doesn't go great, let's just steer around. But you then have it set up with which, because they're allowed to experiment, they become their own coaches, and many of them are better at a certain thing than you are. And that means that's a thing that's going to fit outside of just your personality as a coach and a business owner, which makes the whole picture better for more people.
All of a sudden, the gym is growing, but I'm not the one who's in charge of everything anymore. But I always tell my coaches, like, literally, think about you being self-employed in the gym. Like, basically branching out doing your own kind of business in terms
Inside
of,
the gym.
I'll offer a Spartan Race obstacle course seminar.
Give them
That's
a
an
percentage,
awesome idea.
have some fun.
I have no clue how to do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have no clue how to do a gymnastics workshop. I'm good at other stuff, and that's totally fine. So allow them
that's
to
what
grow.
he's doing with Implementation Week. I can't do that because I don't have a gym and I suck at group classes. So guess who's doing it? Great, because he's good at it. But that's the same idea. Imagine if StrongFit was only going to grow to what I do. Then we get stuck because there's so much stuff I don't do. I don't do social media, I don't do podcasts, I don't, not my own and everything. So that means we always be stuck in that corner, and eventually you guys are going to be like, okay, there's no more room to grow for anybody. Like, we're just doing your stuff, man. That'd be boring as shit eventually. Why is it interesting? Because we share that Coaches Week, you have Implementation Week. I mean, you want to follow with honor, so you want to do what you want to do. Right? That's the only way I think people are good at, is by doing the stuff they want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
If I'm asking you to do something you don't want to do, you'll never be good at it.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be frustrated, you're going to be frustrated, then I'm going to ask you to do my way because it's not working.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to grow. So even within your gym, it should be like me, StrongFit. I was like, Greg, you have this. Richard, do you have that? And then, because they're going to do better than me. And then let's make the thing grow. I want to be right. I just don't care who's right, as long as I'm right. No, but in that sense, you know what I mean? Like, which means if you have a better way to do things, then I'm going to let you do that way because it becomes better. Therefore, I'm right.
Yeah.
Enfin, the situation is right. It doesn't matter.
As long as the situation's right.
Then that means I'm right.
So maybe to kind of wrap everything into as close as we do here into a nice, pretty package.
3-minute video.
Exactly. 45 seconds. That's what Mathäus said.
We have under a minute to cut this to Instagram. But
Fuck off. No, what? Sorry.
So what I think we're getting at here is that people need to, I don't want to say lower your expectations of what a win is, because that sounds like you're taking away.
No, have a better one.
But what I think it is about, it's more about how you're looking at the things. Yeah. So look for the wins in the little things. So don't just let a little thing that you learned from pass by you without you celebrating what you got out of that. Yeah. Because otherwise if you're looking for simply everything as a problem that needs to be solved and there's a win out here that you're never going to get to, you're going to be a miserable son of a bitch.
Yeah. And there's a big win out there, but winning is the small stuff.
Winning is a process.
And the small stuff will take you to that big podium that you want. Yeah. But you can't jump onto the podium. The only way there is through winning through the small stuff. And we're not showing it.
Yeah. Well, some of it we don't see it. We look right over it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We look right over it. Yeah. And so the problem is because it doesn't necessarily feel like. I think right now, especially with the society we live in, is everything has to be an obvious feeling to know that it's there. Love has to be your soulmate. Yeah. You can love someone. It has to be, oh my God.
Music has to play.
In your ears, and the angels are singing. If you don't have that, you go like, yeah. But maybe you're missing the best person for you because at that the angels didn't sing at that particular second because you were still hungover from last night anyway. But so if it's not love like the angels are singing, it's not love. Look at movies. Mm-hmm. I'm fucking kidding me, right? I'm never gonna let Yaya watch those. I think romance in movies is probably what kills relationships the most because you're expecting that shit and you go, come on. So that's what love is. Winning is you're on the podium at the Olympics and then they raise the flag and you're crying because you're so happy. That's not why they're crying. But you know what I mean? Like, so we are setting up flags for everything that are just completely unrealistic. That's not, a marriage is not the angels are singing. That's not true. Marriage is being there for the person every day, even the days you hate them. And you're still there and you're still making it work. It's like parenting. You don't love your kid 24/7, I gotta tell you. I love her 24/7. That doesn't mean I like this 24/7. Like half the time I'm like, and do I love my daughter more than anybody has ever heard? Well, that's an exaggeration, but fuck it. More than anybody has ever loved their daughter. But that's not a 24/7 like the angels are singing to me when I see my daughter. Of course I love her. But parenting is not easy either.
But that's state versus action. So the state, you always love her, but the action you don't like at that moment.
No, because sometimes I have to be the asshole. Yeah. And I hate being the asshole. But guess what? If I ask 3 times to stop being on the phone instead of doing your homework and you don't do it, I'm going to have to be the asshole. Do I like being the asshole? I hate it. And I tell her, stop making me be the asshole. But I'm her dad. Sometimes I have to be. And I hate that. But why do I do it? Because the state is, I love my daughter and I need her to I need to prepare her for life. That makes me do stuff. It'd be a lot easier to be just giving her ice cream all day, right? It's reward versus value, right? The price is in the value, not in the reward. So we are being set up with those big wins that don't exist. It's not like that. The win is a value, right? And it's like being married. It's being like a relationship, like parenting. It's being there every day. That's what Yaya wants from me. She wants me to give her attention, to give her time, quality, not quantity, even quality time, but every day, being there. When she needs me, I am there. Even when she doesn't need me.
And it's not always glamorous.
She doesn't want me. And it's never glamorous. I put it on Instagram once in a while, but it's not, 99% of the time it's not glamorous. It's doing the shit that needs to be done for her. And I don't have, she doesn't have grandparents, so it's just me, and then we fucking grind it every day, and I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's the process.
And that's what the win is I'm doing it. She's a 13-year-old, you've seen how much she changed in the last 2 years and everything, like this is winning. She's growing into a better person every day. That's what winning is, and it's all that stuff that doesn't look. And it's not. There's no glamour in this. You just see the results. That's all. But that's not what the win is. And so we're being set up into, and then Instagram does a lot of that. The same way, and I think a lot of gym owners are being lost in that process because they think winning is that big tent, which is not that.
Okay.
There's your son. So
just walk through the camera.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Matthew won't be mad as well. So I think we need to talk about this a lot more with gym owners and coaches, like we did a year ago with Greg, because he was that far away from quitting, and the discussion was, you are winning, you're just not understanding it right now. But so there is people out there that want to quit right now that may be winning, they just don't know that they're winning.
And I think if this rings a bell to some coaches or gym owners, talk to us. Talk to somebody.
Email us.
Because don't sit there and just, you're not on a fucking island.
You're not the only one.
This is like the suicide hotline. Talk to people, because trust me, it's not just you.
Because it's just like you'd said in the seminar this is Coaches Week a couple months back now. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to burn out, and the world loses the coaches who cares. And frankly, it's not. You don't have the right to do that. You don't have the right. You can't take that away from them.
Don't take that away from your people.
Yeah.
If you quit right now, you are taking away from your people someone who's helping them.
Yeah.
You don't have the right to do that.
And because there's not people lining up to help them.
And the reason you're quitting right now is you might be winning. The only problem is you're not understanding it. Okay? Then talk to people. If you don't have anybody, talk to us. Email us. Yeah. We'll explain to you, you are winning, you just don't know it. Because there's no one to tell you that's what winning is at that stage.
And we may have somebody that we know who has a story that's more similar to the one that you're. And
we'll put them out there.
So we'll say, hey, I have somebody you should totally talk to.
Yes.
Who's been right down
exactly.
that road.
Email that guy. Yeah. You guys can. Yes, exactly.
So get in touch with us. Yes. We're just here to help.
Yeah, so. and then we're going to start showing more of the stories like that, so that people, I think, can relate and go like, I'm not like that guy. And so maybe we can get people in touch and everything. Yeah. That I'm interested telling in the success stories in that sense. Yeah. If it's to put people in contact saying, I felt the same way he felt, well, email the guy. We know him, he's part of the program. Yeah. He'll help you out. That I can do. Because that I like it. Yeah. Right. If he's just bragging about myself, I'll never do it. But that one I'll do.
Cool.
That one will be cool.
All right. Let's wrap it up, huh?
Bye, guys.